Hello everyone. This is part 2 of our code review. We're still on the same page, and now we're going to move on to optimizing our media resources, our media assets. So mainly images for this web page. As you can see, this web page has a lot of images, and most of the times images are the source of heavy traffic and congestion and bandwidth consumption, resulting into slow loading times. So one thing that we must always do is try to optimize our images, compress them, and that's what we are going to do now. I'm going to switch to the folder where this is where our web page and web content resides. As you can see, we have an assets folder with an image subfolder. All of the images are placed in here. Now, one thing we can do is we're going to first have to check the size. So all these images, 7 in total, are about 989 kilobytes, almost a megabyte, which is quite substantial. And what we can do in order to reduce the size is to use some kind of optimization compressing algorithm. One tool that is I really like to use that it's only unfortunately available for Mac is an application. It's a free application called Image Optim. So all you have to do is grab the folder with the images that you want to compress, drag them, drop them inside this application, and after a couple of seconds you will see a great reduction in size for all the files, the image files contained in this folder. As you can see, it takes some time to compress the images, but we get a lot of, as you can see, change here, like the savings are above 20% for some of the images. You must wait a little bit for the Image Optim algorithms to work, because there are a lot of algorithms running trying to compress these images and the different formats. Once it's ready, we will see here the total savings. Right now we have saved almost 69 kilobytes. We have a 6.5% per file on average. We are going to wait a little bit for this heavy PNG image to be compressed. And as you can see, now we're finished. Almost all of the images have been compressed, and we have just trimmed off 73 kilobytes. So this is one way you can use this tool. As you can see, we're now down to 916. Now another thing another tool we can use, which is available for all platforms since it is a web service. It's a website called TinyPNG. And TinyPNG enables us to compress not only PNG images but also JPEG images. All you have to do is drag and drop your image in this area, and I'm going to drag all the images from my folder. We're going to wait a couple of seconds, and then afterwards we will see the results. Right now, as you see, we're having some really nice, we can see some really nice numbers below, 46%, 47%, and after all the images have finished, we will see the total, and this is much better than Image Optim, because it uses an algorithm which is a lossy algorithm. What does lossy and lossless means? That Image Optim tries not to change anything, any details from the image, so that's this lossless compression. But TinyPNG also removes some tiny details from the image in order to do a much better compression. So it doesn't mean that we will our images will lose quality, because the algorithms used by TinyPNG are really good, and it's almost impossible to spot the difference on the images compressed by the algorithms. So I can really say that there's no problem in using this tool. After everything is ready, I click the download all button. A zip file with all the images is now has been downloaded. So I go to this tinified and folder. I uncompress it. I move everything here. I replace all the old images, remove the downloaded folders, and now, as you can see, we have gone down to 429 kilobytes, which is a great reduction. So now our web page will load much faster. So this is something that you should always consider doing, optimizing your images, compressing using whatever tool you can find. Now the next thing we are going to do is I'm going to open the web page, scroll a little bit like to these sections, DNS. Now I can see that these lines are a little bit long in width. There are a lot of words and a lot of characters in each line, which make them, especially this section here, which make the lines a little bit difficult to read, to go through. There are some standards and some rules and some best practices where we can use certain characters or words per line. So I'm going to open a link. I'm going to open a link from a really nice page here, and it says that overly long lines are a common problem, but they're easy to correct. So it talks about line length, the distance between the left and right edges of a text block. So shorter lines will make a big difference in the legibility and professionalism of your layout. So shorter lines are more comfortable to read than longer lines, and as line length increases, your eyes has to travel further from the end of the one line to the beginning of the next. So we're going to correct this error, this long lines on our web page. And the way we are going to do this is we are going to apply a CSS rule on our paragraphs, and I will just apply the rule here for experimenting with the values. I will set the max width to be about 70 characters per line. So this means that the browser will automatically set the maximum width to 70 characters per line. If I was to take this line and count the characters, it would be up to 70 characters maximum. So this is one thing we can do. And now I will take this maximum width and apply to all the paragraphs, and then scroll up a bit to see that we have a slight problem here. As you can see, we have some break lines and the content is not displaying as it should. Scrolling a little bit up, again here we have the same problem. As you can see, there is this just two words on a single line, and again here and again here. So I will keep this in mind when I apply the CSS rule on my web page, because I also want to fix these ugly lines. So I'm going to take this rule and I'm going to go back to my code, and since they're applied to the paragraphs, I'm going to open the CSS file, find the paragraph and set the max width. Now my page is refreshed and I can see that I have a maximum width of 70 characters. But let's go and see why these lines appear like the way they are here with some few words. So if I go to this, I open this paragraph in the inspector, you can see that there's a line break here which causes this malformed area to appear. So the BR, the line break, should only be used in really special cases, like when we have a title. For example, if I have a title here and I want like the domain name system to appear on the next line, this is where I have to place the BR tag, the line break. I'm going to edit as HTML and place it, let's say, here. So this is a case where the line break can be used. But when I want space between paragraphs, I should never use the BR tag, but rather create a new paragraph. So I'm going to go back to my content, now going to the HTML, and I'm going to search through my sections and remove all the line breaks that appear on the web, on the paragraphs. So as you can see, there was a line break here because we wanted this line to appear right after the first paragraph. So in this case, I will just have to use a new paragraph here. If I want two separate lines, two separate paragraphs, I will just use the paragraph tag, not the BR tag. Again, here I will remove this and let the CSS do its job. And here, let's say it seems that we wanted a new paragraph there, so I'm just going to remove the BR tag and place another paragraph. And all of these other cases must be changed accordingly. So I'm not going to go to the other sections, but keep in mind that we don't use the line break for new lines inside our main text content. We just use a new paragraph tag. If we really want space between different elements, like if I want, for example, I have this heading, or let's say this paragraph, and I will find the ones that we changed. So here we have two paragraphs, and if I want to put some space between these two lines, I will use the margin, not put a line break here. So a margin, let's say bottom of 20 pixel or more. So this is how I keep the elements separated and place some add some space between them. So we made our changes. Our content now appears to be more readable, more legible, and we have also fixed some of the sections with a line break.